Last night at SummerSlam Night 1, the opening tag match stole the show as Roman Reigns and Jey Uso returned to the ring to face Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, aligned with Paul Heyman. The matchup set the tone for the blockbuster evening. Raw intensity, family loyalty, and massive stakes. This match marked Roman Reigns' long-awaited return to the ring. His first appearance since the shocking events of WrestleMania 41. That night had left the WWE Universe stunned, as his own trusted advisor, Paul Heyman, betrayed him in front of millions. Turning his back on the tribal chief, Heyman aligned himself with Seth Rollins and the rising force known as the Bronze. Now, months later, the wounds were still fresh, but Reigns wasn't coming alone. His cousin Jey Uso stood at his side. Family, loyalty, bloodline. This was more than just a tag match. It was personal. On the opposite side stood Bron Breakker and Jacob Reed, two relentless powerhouses, backed by none other than Heyman himself. They didn't just want to win. They wanted to bury Reigns and Uso, erase the legacy, and claim their own throne at the top of WWE. The stakes were massive. This wasn't just a return for Roman Reigns. This was a battle for redemption, for pride, for the right to still be called the head of the table. And for Bron Breakker, the pressure was equally intense. Over the past year, fans and insiders had been buzzing. Was this the future face of WWE? Could Breakker truly carry the company into a new era? Tonight, he wasn't just facing any opponent. He was going head-to-head with WWE royalty. This match was more than a main event. It was a passing of the torch, or a desperate fight to keep it from being passed at all. As soon as the bell rang, chaos erupted. There was no slow build, no stare down, no mind games. Jey Uso launched into action, clearing the ring with a burst of energy that sent the crowd into a frenzy. Chants of Waiti echoed through the arena as Uso stood tall, electrifying the atmosphere. But the celebration was short-lived. Bron Breakker and Jacob Reed quickly regrouped, turning the tide. Their strategy was brutal and efficient, cutting the ring in half and isolating Jey. What followed was a relentless display of tag team dominance. High-impact moves, spine-jarring dives, and vicious bulldog slams made it clear. These two weren't here just to compete. They were here to take over. Jey fought with everything he had, finally landing a precise DDT to escape the onslaught. With the crowd on edge, he dove across the ring and tagged in the one man everyone had been waiting for, Roman Reigns. And Reigns exploded. The tribal chief flew over the top rope with a stunning dive, crashing onto both Breakker and Reed outside the ring. It was a rare high-risk maneuver from Reigns, showing just how much this fight meant. The battle spilled to ringside. Chairs clattered, fans screamed, and the announce team was forced to scatter. Breakker didn't back down. He hoisted Reigns and slammed him across the announce table with a thunderous crash that shook the arena. Then came Reed, launching himself through the ropes with a suicide dive of his own, flattening Reigns and drawing gasps from the crowd. This wasn't just a match. It was a war. A war of speed, strength, and sheer willpower. Every move had weight. Every second felt like it could decide the future of WWE. Just when it looked like the tide had fully turned against them, Roman Reigns exploded with a moment of pure brutality. Spear through the barricade. Bron Breakker never saw it coming. 1 second, he was charging in with monstrous momentum, and the next he was crashing through the barricade, steel and plastic flying in all directions. The crowd erupted. The tribal chief had landed a statement, one that said he wasn't done. Not yet. But the chaos didn't stop there. Inside the ring, Jacob Reed ascended the ropes, ready to crush Jey Uso with his devastating tsunami splash. But Reigns came to the rescue once again, dragging Jey out of harm's way just in time. Reed hit the mat hard, the air knocked out of him. Now it was Reigns and Jey working in sync. One team, one family, one mission. They locked eyes, and without hesitation, they hit the 1D, a tribute to the Usos' signature move. Only now, delivered with Roman Reigns beside Jey. The crowd counted along. 1-2. But Breakker returned. From the wreckage of the barricade, he dove into the ring and broke the pin at the last second. The match was still alive. Then came the heart-stopping moment. Breakker locked eyes with Jey, charged forward for a brutal spear. But just as he lunged, Roman stepped in. He took the full impact. No defense. No hesitation. Just sacrifice. Reigns hit the mat like a tree falling, his body limp after absorbing Breakker's deadly move. But it was the opening Jey needed. He climbed the ropes, heart pounding, crowd roaring. USO splash. Right onto Reed. 1-3. The bell rang, and the arena exploded. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, bloodied, battered, but victorious. It wasn't just a win. It was a message. Family still stands. Even if one man has to fall to make it happen. Victory. But not just any victory. When Roman Reigns and Jey Uso had their hands raised in the center of the ring, it wasn't just about the win. It was about redemption, transformation, and the start of something bigger. For the first time in years, Reigns, once the tyrannical tribal chief, looked more human, more selfless, more heroic. He didn't steal the spotlight. He didn't claim dominance. He helped Jey win. He let his cousin take the glory. And in doing so, he gave Jey something no belt ever could, dignity. It was a silent message to the WWE Universe. This is a new Reigns. A babyface rebirth, carved out not by promos, but by action. By sacrifice. The crowd didn't boo. They stood. They clapped. Even those who once chanted tribal fraud found themselves nodding. The chief had changed. But across the ring, another story unfolded. Bron Breakker and Jacob Reed, the monsters, the wrecking crew, the next-gen powerhouses, had fallen short. But it didn't feel like failure. Breakker, though outmaneuvered, looked like a star. His power, his presence, his fury, it was undeniable. Reddit lit up immediately. Reigns is so good. Jey is not losing steam. Breakker is the future of this company. Breakker is definitely the one they are readying the rocket for. And they were right. This wasn't a burial. It was a launch pad. The loss adds depth, character, grit, and when Breakker returns, which he will, he'll return more dangerous, more focused, more unstoppable. Two stories collided that night. One of redemption, one of ascension, one man moving into legend, another rising toward it. And the WWE Universe? They got a taste of both. A match ends, but stories ignite. With Roman Reigns and Jey Uso standing tall, one thing was crystal clear. The bloodline bond wasn't broken, it was reborn. Their teamwork, once strained by betrayal, ego, and war, now felt fluid, natural, dangerous again. Waiti chants echoed through the arena, not just for USO, but for a duo reborn in battle. This wasn't just a win, it was a reconciliation. But behind the curtain, shadows loomed. Bron Breakker and Jacob Reed may have lost the match, but not the war. Every moment they were in that ring, they felt like future champions, future faces of the company. Powerful, relentless, calculated, and all of it guided by the man who once orchestrated the Bloodline's rise, Paul Heyman. You could see it on Heyman's face, the gears already turning. He didn't look disappointed. He looked invested. Because for Heyman, this was never about tonight. It was about legacy. About molding the next dominant force in WWE. And then there's Reigns. The man who once demanded loyalty. Now offering sacrifice? When he stepped in front of Breakker's spear to save Jey, it was a moment that stopped time. Fans gasped. Commentators went silent. This wasn't the Reigns we'd come to loathe. This was a man letting go of power to protect blood, and that one moment may have cracked the tribal chief mask for good. So what's next? Police Scarlight, will Bron Breakker go one-on-one with Reigns? The clash of present versus future? Fire, will Jey Uso chase singles gold? Perhaps the Intercontinental Championship? Finally stepping out of Reigns' shadow? Skull, will Jacob Reed carve his own path through the tag division, or even emerge as a solo threat? And what about Heyman? Is he done with Roman? Or will his new creations come back to haunt their old leader? The ring told one story, but the real war is just beginning. SummerSlam Night 1 opened with a match that delivered raw intensity and emotional storytelling. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso overcame fierce opposition from Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, with power, strategy, and a moment of personal sacrifice that may define the next chapter of the Bloodline saga.